is Christine Fry. Today I will be introducing our topic, animals in public captivity. First off, let's go over some history about this subject. The first real zoo to be established, but was not open to the public, was in 1500 BC in Egypt. Following the establishment of the first zoo, kings, queens, and emperors began to establish zoos for their own pleasure and as a way to exhibit their wealth and power. Some prime examples of this would be when Emperor Wen Wing of China built a zoo that spread over 1,500 acres with animals from all over his empire. Within the 2nd century, there was a Chinese empress that had a house of deer built. There was once a king of the Middle Assyrian Empire who had established a zoological and botanical garden in the 11th century. Another example is when Henry I of England acquired a collection of animals at his palace in Woodstock, which has been said to have included animals such as lions, leopards, and camels. Up until the 19th century, zoos continued to function as a symbolization of royal power and wealth. Although, in London, as a way for scientists to study a wide variety of animals in a controlled setting, in the year of 1828, the London Zoological Gardens opened for just the purpose of scientific study. Following 29 years later, in 1857, the doors of London Zoological Gardens opened to the public to see and enjoy the variety of animals within the zoo. Along with this being the first public zoo, in May of 1853, it also became the first public aquarium where many fish were displayed for the public to see. Just prior to the London Zoo opening their door to the public, in 1856, Brooklyn, New York, opened the first aquarium in the United States. And not long after, in 1890, Pennsylvania welcomed its first zoo. Moving on from the history of animals in public captivity, let's talk about where these animals are located for the public to see today. The most common places animals are exhibited in zoos, aquariums, and amusement parks. Looking at these animals that are in captivity, there are many pros along with multiple cons. In this presentation, each side will present their argument as to why animals in public captivity is a necessary or unnecessary thing. The side against having animals in captivity will begin their argument now.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Armenta, and I'll be talking about the mistreatment of animals and their behaviors. Animals that are kept in captivity for entertainment suffer mistreatment. Some people may argue that these animals are not physically abused and are very well taken care of, but that is not true. Keeping a wild animal in small enclosures such as zoos and aquariums for our entertainment is enough abuse to damage the normal life of any animal. They are kept in areas with limited space, and in most cases, the environments they are kept in lack cleanliness. A dirty environment alone can negatively affect the health of these animals. Animals are being neglected and starved to death. We can never be sure that they are receiving the proper nutrition. Sometimes an animal may look good, but with time you are able to notice the ribs of a starving animal and even skeletal deformities from being kept in tight spaces. According to National Geographic, about 50 animals at Venezuela's Carrico Zoo have starved in the last 6 months. Rabbits, tapirs, porcupines, pigs, and birds suffered the worst at the zoo. Some went without food for 2 weeks. There are also alarming events that happen in the U.S., such as the death of the gorilla Harambe and the separation of mother whale Kalina and her calf Katina at SeaWorld. In China, young elephants show sign of abuse. They have open wounds and abscesses on their legs. Pictures were taken of the elephants, and Scott Blaze of the Global Sanctuary for Elephants said, "It is clear that after reviewing the images that these animals aren't getting the medical treatment for their injuries. Every day," he says, "they'll become less and less who they're supposed to be." The problem is that most people lack experience in caring for these animals. Although there are very nice and respectful animal keepers and trainers, there are some who are not. Some animals are hit with painful objects, they're punched, dragged by ropes, they're tied up, and let's not forget the ones who get killed. Some species are left dead to mummify in the exhibit for weeks before they are even removed from the site. Let's also not forget that these animals are being kidnapped from their natural environments, and when they're no longer liked or wanted for being too old or for a better attraction, they're put down, sold, or bartered as objects with no life meaning. These poor animals suffer emotional abuse. They show abnormal behavior caused by stress of being captive. They pace and rock back and forth. They bathe and head bob repeatedly. They show signs of lethargy by laying motionless. The behavioral and physical needs of animals in captivity cannot be met in unnatural man-made environments. Now, I'm not saying that animals should have the same rights as humans, but imagine being forced out of your own home to live in an environment that stresses you out, where you're bored, and where someone with more power can mistreat you and choose whether they want to feed you or not. All this just for the selfish means of entertaining something, and for the sake of animals, for the selfish means of entertaining us.
Hi, my name is Savannah Kennedy, and I will be talking about the mistreatments we see in SeaWorld and different types of aquarium facilities. The different types of mistreatments we see is sunburns. Sunburns are caused when animals cannot get lower than a certain altitude under the water, so they have to float on top to be able to actually not touch the bottom. We see this most commonly in the orcas in SeaWorld because orcas are a bigger type of whale that tend to want to go deeper, but in the facilities they are in, they cannot because they're too small. This also leads to the dorsal fin collapse. What happens is orcas in the wild, they go down to deep levels in the ocean, so that helps them keep the muscles in their dorsal fin really strong and upright. So it just not being able to go lower because of the size of their tanks really causes an effect on their dorsal fins. Another issue we see is the diet issues. Orcas eat a lot. They eat a ton of fish every day, and in the captivity, they don't get the same amount of nutrition they need to sustain their bodies. And if they can't sustain their bodies, this causes depression. And also, depression is also played into the tank size and the natural lifespan and all that other stuff. But mainly, what happens with depression is they start going in circles in their tanks because the size of the tank isn't big enough for them. And also, people say that orcas can live up to 20 years, 10 years, but really in the wild, orcas live up to a human's lifespan. They don't die at the age of 10 or 12. And some examples of orcas that were captured in the facilities was Katina and Tilikum. They were captured off the coast of Iceland, and they were brought to Sealand, which is a different type of SeaWorld that was earlier on in the 1960s. In the 1960s, they were sold to Sealand and brought in as new orcas. Everybody was excited about them, but the thing was, the only reason why they sold Tilikum and Katina was because they were brought into a situation where they actually killed someone. Now, the same thing happened not even a couple years, maybe 20 years later, when Tilikum actually killed Don from SeaWorld. And that is another unnatural behavior. They're not very aggressive in the wild. They're actually very friendly. So we see these unnatural behaviors all the time in the different types of aquarium animals. Another example is Harambe. Harambe was a gorilla, a very endangered gorilla, that was born and raised in captivity. He was intended to be breeded to other types of the same type of gorilla, or try to find the same type of gorilla and try to expand their population. But he was shot and killed when a boy whose mother wasn't paying attention fell into his tank and he started being aggressive. It's not the gorilla's fault that he got aggressive. It's his natural instinct. Male gorillas become very aggressive when their territory has been imposed. I believe it was wrong that they killed him. They could have used tranquilizers to calm him down and just get the boy out of there safely, but they decided to just kill him. Now we will show you a video of the mistreatment of animals in captivity. I hope you like it.